kind of reminds me of Kanye West. I kind of like this. New Avenged Sevenfold without it being Avenged Sevenfold. It's under a new name. You know, I have to say this one thing. The idea that you can make your own band, make up a whole new band, and open up for yourself at your own show. I've thought about that in the past, years ago. You know, when I was thinking about going live with 10-second songs and 20-style videos, what I remember thinking was, what if I have a made-up band or like my band open up for it or something like that? And it's just so cool to see a band as big as Avenged Sevenfold do this. This is making quite the ripple effect, and I want to see what the big fuss is about. I put the link to the original video directly below in the description in case you want to watch it completely uninterrupted with no stops, because I'm going to stop and talk about things in between. So here we go. Emoji heap. You know, it kind of reminds me of Kanye West a little bit. I'm getting Kanye West vibes. But, by the way, this is not the first time M Shadows has put that kind of effect on his voice or auto-tune. Remember, in their self-titled, they had that one song, Lost, I think? You've been lost for most of this life, everything I've done. You know, that one. So is this like vocoder? What would you say? Is it vocoder or auto-tune? I think it's more of like a vocoder. Reminds me of, I don't know. Like I said, it's like Emoji Heap almost. Like that song, Hide and Seek. Is that Zachy Vengeance? I gotta say, man, if this is a joke or they're trolling, they clearly put some thought into this. This is not like a bullshit production. It's not like they just threw some video together. This is well filmed. Okay, first verse. Let me just say this. I think, as far as the writing goes, I don't know about the lyrics or whatever, but it does sound like Avenged Sevenfold. There's the music, it's synthesized. That's it. As far as I'm hearing so far, I'm just hearing the music is synthesized and they're kind of doing like a cyberpunk synthwave thing, but it's like their sound completely that, like it's not drums, distorted guitars. I can hear that like in Nightmare style in my head. I mean, it's obviously the melody tendencies that Matt Shadows has is, you know, it's all still there. And like I said, we've heard his voice like this before in that song Lost. It's actually pretty, like, it's funny because his voice doesn't sound that much different, except that it has autotune on it, or it has that deliberate pitch corrected effect. You know, it's not like you're listening to this and he put pitch correction on because he couldn't sing. It's very deliberate. Obviously, it's part of the style. See, now if he had a little bit more of that, it'd be like Nightmare style. I think I might have to do it. I might have to do this in the style of Nightmare, just for the hell of it. I'm gonna be honest with you. As it is, I'm reacting the same way that I did personally. Like the feeling that I'm getting when I was listening to their latest album in the car when I first heard it. I forget the name of the album. It was the one that had some controversy. I was laughing most of the time. It wasn't because I thought it was bad. It was because I thought it was brave. I thought it was like, wow, you really don't care about what people think. I don't know, what their process is and if they enjoy this. This sounds like something like, I don't know. I've done music similar. I've done music in a synth style because I enjoy synthwave. So maybe this is them exploring that. But I also don't see it as a problem necessarily because they're not forcing it. I mean, they uploaded it. They released it using the Avenged Sevenfold platforms, but they clearly named it something else. You got to give them that. They opened up for themselves as Statica. You have to give them that. Like, they didn't force this down anyone's throats, like, necessarily. Like, they didn't slap Avenged Sevenfold on it and say, hey, this is the new Avenged Sevenfold, deal with it. But, I mean, they kind of did that in the last album, and that's what I'm saying. Like, the feeling I had in the last album was that, there were parts that I actually liked. I thought it was experimental, and I thought it was interesting, and I don't know why it really brought up some negative feelings in people, like why people have to be so angry about someone just doing what they want artistically. Because from what I understand, they bought back a lot of the rights to their music and they got out of a deal that they were in for a while. I don't know the details, but I saw Brian from Rockfeed's video about it and how, they were talking about this is their independence officially and, they're just doing what they want. And I guess, good for them. I like the video kind of, man. Like, this sounds like something that I would make with friends on a Friday night, hanging out. We used to do a thing called, with me and my buddies, we used to do a thing called Beats and Treats, where we would just get pizza and drink a little bit and just make random songs that really just don't know what the hell we're doing with them. Like, it doesn't have a form at all, doesn't have a genre. We're not trying to be anything. That's what this reminds me of. It has that kind of energy, Just the dial tone. He's got a very clean tone. It's like it's more of like the classic Matt Shadow's clean tone with that kind of covered nasally sound. But he does a lot of this. He has a lot of this tone in regular Avenged Sevenfold as well. Maybe just a little bit more grit, like the dial tone. I can see him kind of going a little bit more gritty. We need a love, no. I don't know the words. We need a lesson and I can see him kind of doing something like that if this was more like Avenged Sevenfold. By the way, before singing vocals like this, it is important that you warm up like I did before this video. So I created a free vocal warm-ups course, how to warm up to sing or scream, anything you want, depending on what your preferred style is. So if you want to explore the capabilities within your voice and learn to warm up with me for free, I put all of that information directly below in the description or in the pinned comment. Let's keep watching. Just the dial tone. Something like that. I don't know. It's interesting and it's bold. It's bold, but it's also not that invasive because, like I said, they put it under a different name. A lot of people said that they would like Load and Reload better, Metallica's albums, if they had put it under a new name. That was one back then when Metallica, they made that change and deviated from their sound. A lot of people's like, oh, well, this is not Metallica. It should be a different name. Whatever. I think it's Metallica. You know, people do what they want. Like, a lot of the time, like, you know, great artists, and I guess that's subjective, but a lot of artists will, the ones that I find have, you know, longevity in their careers, they take risks and they do things to sometimes piss people off. I got to be honest I got to be real with you. Like, Saint Anger is a good example. When Metallica came out with Saint Anger, I remember, like, me and my friends were really excited to hear it. We put it on, and one of our buddies, he just said he was the one to break the ice and say, no, this kind of sucks. And it's funny because listening back, like, I'll listen to some Saint Anger now and I'm like, you know, man, I have to give them credit for doing it because it's become an infamous album. Just like this will end up probably becoming like an infamous thing that Avenged Sevenfold did. I'm not going to say this is their Saint Anger. It's not. It's completely different. But I think that obviously listening back to it now, that was something that you hear where there could have been really good songs in there. If they had, it sounds like the first draft demo versions, jamming versions of stuff where the engineer didn't care about dialing in some good tones. Obviously you have the snare and all that stuff, but that's a whole other thing with Saint Anger. I don't know, man. Like, I think it's kind of like a little bit of trolling, a little bit of like seeing like almost like performance art. What do you call it? Like performance art that a lot of comedians have done in the past, like Andy Kaufman. Just like no attention is bad attention. Boos and cheers are the same. I feel like there's a little bit of that in here as well. Like, what kind of reactions can we get from this?
Happiness is so good.
That riff. I just don't know. I don't know. I'll give them, you have to give credit where credit's due. Like, when you don't know what to make of something, it's interesting, at least, you know, it's going to make people talk about it. And if an artist makes something that will contribute to a conversation, or like me, like, you know, I'm talking about it, analyzing it, and putting it out into the world where other people are going to see this and talk amongst themselves in the comments. I think it's effective. I think that's what art's supposed to do. You don't have to be an artist who just makes the same kind of thing all the time to get a positive response or whatever. You can also occasionally put out something that people are like, the fuck is that? You know what I mean? What the fuck is that?
The fuck is that? Shit!
I'm entertained by it. I think it's funny.
With me, I feel empty, waiting on.
You know, I'll say this. This is what the vibe. I like the vibe. I like the feeling it gives me, because it's you know, just looking at this from a perspective of like me stumbling upon this for the first time. If I didn't know who they were, I still would like the video. I think it kind of gives me like a liminal spaces feeling. Like, you know, if you're familiar with any of that kind of stuff, like that, the atmosphere type videos you can find on YouTube of like empty malls and, you know, places that were once lively that are empty, and it's like nostalgic. And so there's a little bit of that. I can't really say, I mean, it sounds like Avenged Sevenfold to me, stylistically. The melody choices, the different, even the riffs, even though they're synthesized, it sounds like Avenged Sevenfold. So it's not like they decided to make a synthwave song and it's just completely synthwave in that style, and it's just like you can still hear stylistically that it's still in there. It's almost like when Linkin Park put out that the last album they put out with Chester. There was a lot of songs on there. It was very pop, but you can hear that the songwriting was still the same, and that's part of what I do here with songs in different styles. Like, I can recognize when the source material is there because it can be transferred into their old style. It can be transferred into another style. Oh, I'm sorry, man. I gotta look at what are the lyrics? Static love, static dream, static mind, static seam. Okay. Sending my voice in a message, left it right after the tone. Waiting around for a call back, wasn't sure if you're home, just a dial tone. That kind of gives me like a Kavinsky vibe. So, I mean, yeah, they're probably really honing in on the whole like synthwave thing a little bit here. By the way, rest in peace, Kavinsky. Very sad to hear of his passing. Synthwave is actually one of my favorite genres when I just want to chill. It's like a default for me. Synthwave and jazz is like a default when I don't know what I want to listen to and I don't really want to listen to metal all the time. So I put on something that kind of soothes me. It's like where I don't have to think. But anyway, whatever. So you have that. Static love, static ring. I could see him really breaking out into that, like belting into that static seam. Like how he does. I'm telling you, that's the funny thing with all of this is that just by changing the way you sing something and the tones and like instruments and the way the drums are played, immediately automatically would make somebody think differently about this. I really feel that way about this. I think if they came out with this and it was like this, but just Nightmare production, or their album after Nightmare, Hail to the King, I'll tell you what it would be. There'd be a lot of people who would say, oh, awesome, Avenged Sevenfold is back, yes, okay? And then there'd also be a lot of people who'd be like, boring, been done, this is middle of the road, sucks, because they're just doing what they always do. So you're always going to be split down the middle anyway, so might as well have fun as an artist. I mean, they don't have to really, I don't know what their situation is, but they're one of these bands that could tour on the same songs. They could play all the songs that they're known for. They could still sell tickets, and they can have a career off of what they've already done. It's like System of a Down hasn't released anything new in God knows how long, and they're able to still tour and headline arenas. So they could do whatever the fuck they want. Really, they could do whatever they want. This is kind of cool.
I feel empty.
I mean, I kind of like, listen, not just for what it is. I like stuff like this. I like weird imagery and kind of like dark synth 80s drive Kavinsky type vibe stuff, West Coast, nighttime, driving down the highway, neon lights. I like that stuff. I like the cyberpunk shit. So for me, it's kind of cool. But, I understand, like in the context of people who just want to hear Avenged Sevenfold, you might have a problem with this, but... I kind of like this. I kind of like it. I mean, now it's like I'm just vibing out with it now, and it's just it's taking me someplace. Like the atmosphere is taking me someplace. I like the static silhouettes. See, look, that right there. Like just the tendencies of Avenged Sevenfold are in there, so you can tell like they wrote the song. You know, it doesn't sound like Avenged Sevenfold, but I saw somebody in the comments say synthesizer gates. I thought that was funny. I don't know, man. I like that ending. That ending was pretty cool. The atmosphere was great. So the thing is with this is what I said before. They are obviously doing something. They're acting in a way that's like they're not trying to necessarily get a charting album or add another notch to their belt in their career with this. They're clearly doing something that they're proud of and wanted to do, and maybe there's a little bit of trolling involved, but for the most part, I think that they're just doing whatever the hell they want. I saw this interview, I saw a video that my buddy Brian Storm from Rockfeed put together talking about this, how Avenged Sevenfold pissed off their fans, and one of the things I took from it was the interview that Matt Shadows was talking about how when they wrote Hail to the King, it was very specifically to be a tribute to other bands like the Black Album. We knew this, like it was very obvious, and they talked about that. So it wasn't like something that they were trying to hide. It's not like some bands who, cite certain bands as influences but end up ripping them off. It's not like some bands when people accuse like Greta Van Fleet of sounding just like Led Zeppelin and trying to be them, and they cite every band under the sun as their influence except for Led Zeppelin. You know what I mean? Like, it's obvious what you're doing here, but, with Avenged Sevenfold, they took complete ownership of that with Hail to the King. That was actually the intent. It's like when Billy Joel put out an album that was very specifically inspired by certain eras of music. Like Uptown Girl was inspired by Frankie Valli and the Four Seasons. He said that. Like, it was like a known thing. Actually makes it cooler when people do that. It's actually part of what I do here when I say this song in the style of another artist. But he had made a comment about this saying that, we did this whole thing, used that formula for Hail to the King, and unfortunately it worked. So that's, I guess, why people were pissed, because he said, unfortunately, it worked. Of course it's going to work. People, they love what they already know. Metallica's Black Album is still on the charts. It probably always will be. Metallica, I'm don't know for sure. I don't know their finances, but I'm pretty sure that they'll never have to work another day in their life just because of the Black Album. The fact that they're still on the road is because they actually love what they do. So, of course it's going to work. You go to their Spotify, Avenged Sevenfold, and Hail to the King is by far the most viewed, the most played song of theirs. And he said himself, a lot of people discovered the band through that song. I don't see a problem with that. You need stuff like that. You need songs like that to introduce people not only to your own music, as a window to your own music, but also as a gateway to the genre in general. We all need gateway bands, gateway songs. But the question becomes, what are you making music for? That's like the question that comes to mind here for me, because I've been making original music all year, and it's very difficult to have original music break out. But what does breakout actually mean? Does breakout mean that you're charting on the mainstream and competing with other artists, and you have to go and have a hit song? Or does breakout mean that the song found its audience, and that audience could either be small and tight-knit, like, say, Devin Townsend when he puts out music. He's obviously not a mainstream artist, and I don't think he's going to be on the Hot 100 anytime soon. But it's brilliant music, and it's true to him. Or, like, are you putting out music for that reason, or are you putting out music to reach a large audience intentionally? And in that case, yeah, you might write something like Hail to the King. You might do stuff like Nickelback's a great example. I think a lot of their music is written with the intent to chart. Maybe that's why some people don't like them, but I really do think that's why they sound the way they do. It's very formulaic. So, when you step out of that formula, a lot of the time your audience, it becomes more artistic by default because you're doing something that, that people who follow a formula that end up mainstream don't do. You're deviating a little bit, and that's why it ends up sounding more progressive, and now you have a smaller audience. So I guess the question is then, what does artistic freedom really feel like? Is it somewhere in between? Because you definitely, to be a full-time artist, you need people to listen to you to be a full-time artist. Like, it helps when you've got a lot of people listening to you. It really does help because it makes it possible, especially if you're going to be an independent artist and, you're not owned by some record label that has thrown, however much money at you to just live that you're going to have to recoup. Like, I don't know. I don't know how these deals go. I'm completely independent and I'm a content creator, so don't ask me. But I don't know. Food for thought. From what I see here, this is what I see. I see a band like Avenged Sevenfold, who is very successful, has had a lot of success, and there are a lot of people who know them for music that's a lot more accessible, a lot more pretty standard rock and metal, and now they've achieved some level of independence. They're independent now, and they don't have to answer to anyone, so they're just having a little fun. I think that's what's going on here, personally. But I would like to hear Statica in the style of Nightmare, and I might have to do it, just for fun. Anyway, before singing vocals like this, even if it is doused in auto-tune, it's important to warm up. So I've created a free vocal warm-ups course, how to warm up to sing or scream anything you want. And if you want to explore the capabilities within your voice and learn to warm up with me for free, I put all of that information directly below in the description or in the pinned comment. Thank you so much for watching. There are more videos like this. I have a whole playlist of vocal analysis and experimentation, or exploration of me going through videos like this and singing and styles of singing, all different genres. I also do cover songs. I got another playlist for that, reimagined songs, and my original music. So check all of that out. It's all here on the channel. Subscribe. New videos every week. Come on this journey and be excited with me in the journey to explore the voice. Take care.